Do you find yourself being frustrated about things? And you think, can I possibly make a difference? Stay tuned. Welcome to God Answers Prayer. I'm Linda Tiano, your host today. We're delighted to have you with us. And I want to go straight to the book of Psalms, chapter 19, verse 14. And it says there, "So may the words of my mouth, my meditation thoughts, and every movement of my heart be always pure and pleasing, acceptable before your eyes, Yahweh, my only Redeemer, my protector." Today we are hearing from two men who take these words seriously. They're both New Mexico state senators and are sharing their faith and how a recent trip to Israel changed them. We'll be right back after this. Well, welcome back. I'm here with Jay Block, Senator Jay Block, and Senator Ant Thornton, and we're delighted to have them, both of you, here with us. Welcome to God Answers Prayer.
Thank you.
So, one of the things that I wanted to discuss, because you're both people of faith, you are believers in Messiah, and why did you run for office? What was it that really triggered you, that you knew that you had to do it? Ant?
Sure. Well, for me, it was a pretty easy thing to do because after I retired from Sandia National Labs, I was it's kind of, what am I going to do next? I figured I'd spent most of my career in national security, protecting the people and things of that sort. So now I thought, what can I do now to, serve the community in a different way? And although politics wasn't on my mind, I started looking at what was going on in New Mexico, and it became clear to me that the decisions I felt that they were making at the legislative level, at the executive level, were not the decisions that I think I would make as a Christian and also as an individual. And so for me, it was a pretty easy thing to say, well, at least I'll give it a shot and see. And unfortunately, I got elected. So so now here we are. But it was really to do what I could do to serve the community again and to actually make New Mexico a better place.
And you, Jay?
Well, we're fortunate to have Ant in the Senate. He is well respected by everybody in the Senate, and having Ant up there is really a gift, especially with his background and his talents. For me, growing up in New Hampshire, I became a Republican at the age of 10 in November 1980 when Ronald Reagan was elected. Reagan reminded me of my grandfather, who was Jewish and a member of the Greatest Generation, a World War II veteran on a destroyer, the USS Mayrant, and being in New Hampshire, specifically Manchester, we had the first in the nation primary. So when I was a teenager, I was knocking doors for a guy named Jack Kemp in 1987 and early 88 for the New Hampshire primary, and then in college, I interned for my U.S. Senator back there, a guy named Bob Smith. And then I went out to college in North Dakota, and then went off to the Air Force. And as an Air Force officer, you're very limited on your political activities. But when I always knew I wanted to run for office someday. I wanted to continue to serve after my service in the Air Force, and unfortunately, I got elected as well as a county commissioner for 8 years as the first Republican to win that seat, and then Ant and I got elected in November of last year to the Senate together. So we're freshmen together, and I've known Ant for about almost 10 years now. And I'm just, it's an honor to really serve with your friend up there. And, I think I watch Ant on the floor. I talked to him about some committee things, and both of us share a lot of the same things, and we have the same vision for not just New Mexico, but the country, and especially now what we're seeing with the far left here in New Mexico. And, you know, you got to step up, you got to serve, and you have to fight back against some of the just awful things that are going on.
You know, having visited you at your office, I'm just seeing everything that was going on there. It was like, oh my goodness, you guys are bombarded from all sides. There's so much information that is coming your way, and pressures to vote a certain way. How do you, you know, I mean, except for prayer, and because we all pray for you, you know, how do you keep focused?
Well, I think that's it's actually, we have a lot of help when we're up there. So a lot of bills are coming. The speed when we're in session is amazing. I think they said over 1,100 bills were introduced at the last session. Only about 110 or so actually made it to the governor's office. So that tells you how many bills we're actually going through, and they have to go through 2 committees, then to the floor, and then on the other side the same thing. So it's really hard to get legislation passed in New Mexico, as it's true of probably at any level. But we have a lot of help. We have analysts there who help analyze the bills for us. We have the lobbyists there. And although lobbyists people think are a bad thing, they actually are very helpful in terms of informing us about what's going on and how it affects their particular industry. So it's good to have those people there and available. So with all of that help and a little bit of prayer, you know, we've got enough there to help us get through most of the things that we have to attack.
You have anything to add to that?
Well, the only thing I would add, I mean, he hit it exactly right, is, you know, we have our committees that we're on, and we're always preparing for our committees, and then we have to go to the floor, and we're trying to figure out what bills are going to be discussed on the floor, so you have that as well. You know, I get up early in the morning, I'm sure you did as well, to prepare for committee, and then you go home, whether you drive back to Sandia Park or Rio Rancho, you go home, then you read more bills for the next day. And I think the most important thing for me was knowing that I feel I was called to go do it, but to have my wife be very supportive as well as me there, because honestly, I've never worked as hard in my life as I have as a state senator, with all the hours that we put in up there to prepare ourselves and to understand the policy implications of what we're doing up there.
So I know you got this booklet in front of you, and it's a big concern to a lot of us in this state, regardless of what party. It's what our children are being faced with in the public schools. Tell us a little bit about this.
Well, I think last year, or actually earlier this year in the session, they brought a bill forward, which is basically, they were claiming that librarians are being, you know, attacked and stuff for having pornographic material in their library. And what it really is it's inappropriate material. It's age inappropriate material that's in these libraries books that are available to like elementary and middle school kids, as well as high school kids. And the question is, and what the left is saying is that we as Republicans want to ban the books. We don't want to ban the books. What we think is we ought to eliminate books that are inappropriate for the age. I know as a parent, if I was a parent, and I'm not, if I was a parent, I would not want my kids being exposed to some of the materials that we know exist in the libraries right now. And this is books that they can easily get available. It's basically cartoon porn is what we're calling it. And it's essentially, it's actually describing lifestyles that are not Christian in nature, you know, the LGBTQ type of lifestyle. It's promoting that. And while that may be an adult decision to be made later on in life, it's certainly something that I wouldn't want my kids to be exposed to early on. And that's what we're facing, is what's the appropriate use of these books. And so we're looking at, they're looking at bringing this same thing in again. It got through the education committee, but it never brought to the floor last session. And I think they're going to try to bring it back again and try to get it through the entire session. So that's what we're fighting. And we do have some other ideas about how we might want to approach it.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is, you know, for Aunt and I and other conservatives up there, it's about parental rights as well. And the left will fight against transparency for parents. They'll fight against parental rights because they're trying to capture your kids. Right. They really are. And when we bring up parental rights, they fight back very, very hard. And you have to ask, why are they fighting against parents being able to decide what is best for their children? Now, if the parents want their kids to look at this stuff, so be it. But parents should be involved in the process of what books are in these libraries at school. That's what we're asking for, and we're also asking for, well, have the children be able to, the parents opt out their kids with some of these, especially one of them that came up was SB 258. It was the Human Sexuality Education Bill that went on Ant's committee, and it passed his committee. He voted no. Went on my committee in Senate Public Health, and I voted no. And it got to the floor, and had a conversation with the Senate Majority Leader on this bill, because this was focused on some alternative lifestyles, I'll say, and some other information that maybe parents wouldn't want, and it was focused at the middle school and high school level. And I'm not going to get into the description of some of these things here, but it was ridiculous in what they were trying to teach these kids. And by the way, push it at the rural schools, and if they couldn't find a teacher at the school to do it, they put a provision in the bill to find someone who's qualified, but they wouldn't tell you what that is. Wow. So thankfully, the Senate floor majority leader did not put that on the floor, because we were ready to fight. In fact, there's a lady named Jody Hendricks who was instrumental. I mean, Ant talked about lobbyists, but it's also these advocacy groups that really help us out, besides the analysts that are there to support us, that can really give us a lot of information to fight back on.
Yeah, I mean, circumventing parental rights. And we have the way we want to raise our children, and especially as believers, there's a biblical standard that we follow. And without our permission to put things before their eyes and within the hearing of their ears is obstructing and coming against our rights. So how do we do this? I mean, I know you're doing what you can do in the Senate. How can believers make a difference? I mean, I know the voices have got to be heard.
I thought about, sometimes we're always playing defense instead of playing offense. And so I think one of the things I'm going to start asking the left is, how would they feel if we told every child that came into the school that they had to be baptized?
Right.
That was a requirement for you to go to school, and then be blessed and all the whole 9 yards. And so, how would they feel about that? And we know what they would do. They would go. They would totally freak out. And so, but that's essentially what they're doing by doing what they're doing with these books. Is they're trying to pre-program, trying to indoctrinate. It's not education; it's indoctrination.
Exactly.
And so that's kind of one of the things that we're trying to push back on. And I think we as Christians, we have to stop being quiet, stop being silent. And we've always tended to be, turn the other cheek. And that's okay to an extent. But at some point, God would bring his wrath down upon people as well when it was sinful. And attacking our children, I think, crosses the line. And so we need to be able to fight and fight hard to push back on this kind of explicit material that's in these books.
Right.
So, and we need their support of the public to do that. And first off is doing shows like yours to make them aware that this is out there, and making sure that people understand this material is out there, it's being pushed forward, it's being taught to your kids. You need to understand that, and you as a parent need to take control of what your kids are being taught.
And I would argue, since COVID in 2020, parents have really gotten to see a window into the classroom and have seen what the teachers and the administration of the school districts are teaching their kids, and they're like, hold on, I had no idea that was going on. And this is why we've seen in New Mexico, especially in Albuquerque, the enrollment to public schools drop pretty significantly. Charter schools are very popular, which I support wholeheartedly. We have seen homeschools, number of homeschool students increase, and it's because of exactly what Senator Thornton was talking about, is that parents do not want their kids exposed to this for literally 13 years, K through 12, and then when they get to the university level, it's even worse.
I want to speak to you. Number one, I want you to pray for these two men, and as you see them today, realize that they represent others that are fighting for you. And so, as believers, you know, the Lord has given us His Word, His guidelines for a right way of living, so that you can have a good life. So today, if you have not said yes to the greatest gift of love ever given to mankind, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Messiah, will this be your day to say yes to the great sacrifice He made for you and for me? Give us a call. We've got prayer partners that will pray with you. The number is right there on the bottom of the screen. We'll be right back after this. I'm back with Senator Ant Thornton and Senator Jay Block, and we've been talking about what's out there in the schools, what can we do about it. Sometimes we feel like our hands are tied. I know Joey and I sat in at a school board meeting on this very issue, and it was like they're up there like this. They don't want to hear a thing you say, and it doesn't matter. They're not going to be moved. How do we counteract that?
You know, I've seen a lot of incredible viral videos of school board meetings where moms and dads come in, and by the way, the students themselves are pleading.
That's
with
powerful.
It's very powerful. The school board members saying, I don't want this guy, you know, some 17, 18-year-old kid in the locker room with me as a 13, 14-year-old high school student. And I don't want them competing in sports and like wrestling. And you know, we've seen so many injuries of young girls because of this the trans issue. And really, I think about all these women who have lost scholarships, who have lost awards and medals, but it goes back to some of the pioneering women that fought very hard for Title IX, that wanted to be treated equally to have sports in schools. So I think watching these people go to the school board meetings and be very vocal and advocate for their position is great, but you have to run for the school board. You got to go out there and run. We have so many incredible conservative people out there that are trying to get people registered, like Scott Pressler,
Right.
and you know, Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA is another great one. But that's my recommendation.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, as you mentioned, folks like Riley Gaines, you know, who really pushed. In fact, she came to Santa Fe, probably over a year ago, and UNM to basically, you know, plead her case and say this is why men shouldn't be in women's sports and things like that. And I think that's important. But I believe that the bottom line is, like Senator Block mentioned, is you have to get involved. If it's important to you, you can't just sit back and just hope that something happens. You've got to be personally involved. You've got to go to these school board meetings. You've got to either run for office, and I know that's a tough thing for people to do because it takes a lot of time, personal money to actually go off and actually run for an office. But if you're going to change the school board, you have to be on the school board, and that's the only way it's going to happen. Right now, it's littered with mainly progressives. And they're going to continue down this path. That's their agenda, is to take our kids. And if we don't fight for them, they're going to win.
So if you don't want to run for school board yourself, find somebody that is and support them and help them.
Well, this is where, in my opinion, the county chairs, the party apparatus for us in the Republican Party, the county chairs really have to be out there going out and recruiting potential candidates for school board, for city council, county commission. These people don't understand how important these local offices are. I saw it as a county commissioner for 8 years. Understood, like, holy crap! I didn't realize how powerful these local offices are. Especially the school board, in my opinion, is one of the most powerful offices that you can hold.
Yeah. So, all right, getting at the grassroots level, but how can we help you with our voices, or with
Well, as candidates, now that we're already elected, we're no longer candidates, but we still have to run every 4 years, and part of that probably requires us to be able to raise funds. And so, if you can find a candidate that you support, either support them monetarily, that goes a long way to help us get our advertisings out and things like that, or volunteer to support their campaign in one form or another. And you can do that like mailing out literature for them, walking, knocking on doors. There are lots and plenty of ways that you can use your time, because time is really the real thing that candidates need. Is you can use your time to help that candidate get elected. That's the best thing that individuals can do.
Yeah, I think one other area that you can do, besides if you don't want to be involved in a campaign and you don't want to run for office, and I get that because it's not a lot of fun, but you could actually be involved in the election process. You can be a poll worker, you can be a judge, you can be on the absentee board, you can watch how the ballots are being processed and counted. I think that's another way that you can step up and still be involved.
Yeah, and I think people have to get rid of the fear in the sense of what's the use? You know, they've been doing this for 90 some odd years. Why did we think it will change? But we can change it.
One person can make a huge difference, absolutely, and we see it with your elected officials out there. One person can stand up and sway others. That's a great thing. I think of John Fetterman right now with the shutdown, with what he's doing. I mean, he's going after his own party. He's making a difference, in my opinion. He's swaying people. That's powerful.
Well, I mean, literally, it's really we the people, and you're where you are because of we the people. And there's, I mean, the fact that you two are in office is pretty incredible.
It is incredible, but I got to tell you, you know, Senator Block is very, I guess, shy in some sense, because I can tell you the reason this didn't come up on the floor is because he's very good on the floor. And we made it clear to the leadership on the other side that if they brought this forward, we were going to explicitly go through and explain to them what's in here. And
he would, in grotesque
and
detail.
he would have hammered them, and they knew it. And so,
wow.
And I think having Senator Block on the floor, he does a very good job. He's already made a name for himself, because they know when he speaks, they listen.
Well, that's the one thing about being in office is, yeah, we were elected by the people, and it's really an honor. It really is an honor to be up there. But you know, you can't please everybody. You know, Ant has been in leadership positions as a director at Sandia National Lab. I've been a commander in the Air Force. I've made decisions where, you know, some people in the unit might not have agreed with it. We make decisions, you know, a lot of decisions on policy that other people are not going to be happy with, but we have got to make the best decision that we can. And I will tell you, being up there for my first year, our Senate leadership has said to us, they're not going to tell us how to vote, and I greatly appreciate that. But the other side, they are pressured, they are coerced, they are threatened with how to vote. And for a party like the Democrats to talk about protecting democracy, I laugh. It's not true at all from the behaviors that I've seen up there with some of the leadership in the roundhouse on the Democrat side. Every caucus meeting we have, our leadership tells us, you vote the way you need to for your district, and we'll respect that. And that goes a long way with me.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. Very important. Well, again, I believe that prayer changes things. And so I want to encourage all of you out there, please, don't forget about what's happening up there. And listen and be aware of what is happening so that you can pray into those situations. God can move the hearts of men and change their minds. And so that's what we need to pray. I mean, there are people that are in positions that are completely opposed to the way that those of us sitting here today believe. And yet, we serve a God that can touch their hearts, change their minds, and create a whole new person that will follow His ways to the glory of the Lord. So don't think that your prayers are just a simple thing. They're powerful. They're mighty. They can pull down strongholds. And so I want to encourage you to do that. Be a prayer warrior And don't forget about this. And don't think that politics has to be separated from our faith. That's why we got where we are. It's because we said, well, we can't get involved. Let's get involved. And today, I want to thank you both for being here and sharing with us, first of all. But say yes. Say yes to the one who loves you more than life itself, Yeshua. And the Word tells us that you don't come to Yeshua unless the Father draws you. So today, if you're feeling that tugging on your heart, say yes to Him. Say, yes, I believe you died for me and you shed your blood for my sins. The number on the bottom of the screen is the number to call. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May He make His face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May He lift up His countenance before you and give you His everlasting peace. Shalom, shalom.
Thank you for joining us today on God Answers Prayer. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on our program, please contact us by visiting kchftv.org and click on Share Your Testimony. Our prayer partners are here to pray for your needs. Call us today at 505-345-4165. We appreciate your prayers and support. Join us again next time for more inspiring stories and testimonies. Remember, God is always listening, and He answers our prayers in His perfect timing.